so that I can put this on. All right, so so here we are, and we're missing Tiara today because her Elizabeth is not feeling well. So so we're gonna let you're gonna watch that tomorrow. But we were just going over talking about last week, and just since Tiara was on, can you say that again, or what you said about what you done for your homework, and then what happened when you went out and did the contests?
Sure. I did listen to the podcast call from the Director Bound program. And it's really good information. It was actually entertaining to listen to, so that was good. And then I I contacted a bunch of people, like follow-up calls and asked them how they were doing, that kind of stuff. And I got my summer, I guess, what was it, April free products, the summer products for free. And they came in yesterday, and I went and picked them up at the apartment complex, and the manager there was like, "Ooh, Pampered Chef." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a consultant." And she was like, "Ooh, do you have cards you could bring me?" And I was like, "Well, I can bring you some catalogs and some stuff, some information." She's like, "Yes, please bring them to me." Cool. And so I'll have to follow up with her and see if she looked through them at all.
That's good. And then if you have some minis or whatever, and you can just leave them there, then you can always put like a sticker on them that says, call me for a free gift, and then go back to the whole free recipe book.
Yeah.
As your free gift, And so, but the thing is, they're calling you, they're contacting you, and then you have that free gift to give them. So good. I've been really diligent I had kind of slacked off with my calls this past couple of weeks, but I've been really diligent. What I did was I took all the list of the people that I had to call, and I wrote them on you can't see that, this is the reflection, but I just wrote it on a sticky. The whole thing is full of names. Okay. And then I took my book, and every time I actually talked to somebody, I wrote it in the book.
Okay.
And so between yesterday and today, I actually had 10 people that I talked to. So I was very excited that I talked to, or they texted me back or whatever. So that was kind of exciting, rather than just writing, making phone calls and writing everybody down. So that was kind of rewarding to me. But I try, and I feel like I'm calling the same people a lot of times, but I'm not reaching them. So when I was just writing down who I reached, I was really glad, because it was different people. I'm not writing the same people down. It was, people that you don't, if you reach somebody, then you're not having to call them back again, right? I mean, maybe in a couple of weeks or whatever. And I reached a lot of people. I've started in my notes section on my Consultants Corner, writing down what time I call people. And like when I don't reach them, writing down what time, because then sometimes when I call them back, I might try a different time. So
okay.
Just something I don't want to work at night a lot. I want to do things like this at night. I don't want to do phone calls at night. I don't want to, I don't mind doing trainings. I don't mind doing shows, but I don't want to do phone calls at night. So I'm trying to find times during the day when I can reach people. So 3:40, 3:30, 3:45 seems to be a magic time, during the day. So I think people are kind of done with work at that point.
Yeah.
They're scrolling their phone. So anyway, all right. So do you have anything that you learned from the audio that you're planning to put in place? I didn't take notes, so I can't remember what exactly.
Yeah, and I was listening while I was I didn't take notes either.
So when I first started selling Pampered Chef, and I've probably said this before, but when I first started selling Pampered Chef, we had this, it was called the Lending Library, and we could fill out a little form, because we didn't have internet stuff back then. We could fill out a little form and mail it in, and they would send us a cassette tape. Okay, so this is 20 years ago. And then I would listen to that cassette tape 3 times before I sent it back. And I didn't necessarily take notes on it. I just listened to it in the car or while I was walking or whatever. And if I listened to it 3 times, then I would have the information would stick in my brain so that I could reuse that. And I listened to them on the way to shows. I mean, because I was doing shows and having to drive like an hour all the time. I lived in North Carolina, and so stuff was kind of spread out. But I just found that was what worked for me. So it might be that a couple of times you want to listen to that call a couple of times, and then get all the information about it. And so that came, okay, so Doreen Grass was the one who facilitated that call. And I love Doreen. Like, she's been with the company almost as long as I have. And she is just so wonderful. She's basically in charge of all the training and a lot of the web things that they're doing. She kind of oversees all that. Anyway, so she was facilitating that panel at conference. And so every year at conference, they have people, who consultants are the ones who do the work, who do most of the workshops. So if you have the opportunity to get to take part in a panel, something just like that when you go to conference. So that is so that's one of the cool things about conference. So, and then it takes them like 2 months, and then after conference they'll share, the best. Like they might do 4 or 5 panels on booking shows outside of parties, but then they just share the best one. Okay, so when it was funny, when I spoke one time when I spoke at conference, I was speaking with Judy Joel, and she said, "What's your goal?" I said, "I want this to be the one that's recorded." And she's like, "Okay," and it was. So it was the one that was recorded. So it was on, but that was my goal. I was like, what do I have to do to be the one that's recorded? She's like, well, you have to talk about company programs. I was like, oh, not a problem. I use company programs, so, but it was so funny because that was my goal. But anyway, all right. So let's see. So good. So last week we talked about booking at the parties, and we came up with some really great ideas of how to book at the parties. We've been brainstorming some extra ideas. That's great. So this week we're going to talk about, you've booked at the parties. We've talked about booking outside the parties, and so now what we're going to talk about is booking. Is host coaching and what to do immediately, starting with what to do immediately upon booking the party. Okay, so first of all, when you start with booking your party, there's some things that you're going to talk about. Okay, let me back up for 1 second. I just want to make sure I have everything here. So the first thing you want to do is take the host coaching course from Pampered Chef University. It gives you very specifics. Do this, do this, do this, do this. A lot of consultants like using the host coaching letters that you can get on the show planning materials page. I utilize this right here. This is the host coaching monthly tracking, and I can list all my hosts right here. And I've gotten to the point where I have 2 of them printed out, one for in-person and one for virtual. And then I just fold it in half and keep the drawing slip or contact information for that host in there until I close it out. And it just helps me to really have a little notebook that I can keep it in. Recently I've started just keeping it out and tucking it in my calendar, okay, because that's where I'm reaching for stuff anyways. So, but you have to have a system. Whatever system works best for you, you have to have a system. And so the first thing you want to do is start with when you book the party, okay? And so when you book the party, your host coaching actually starts right then. And I'm going to look at this really quick because I want to see what okay, perfect. So on the Director Bound page, there is a sheet that's about host coaching, and it's going to basically be your notes for this call. And so, so you want to, when you work with your host, you want to start talking to them right away. You want to ask them what they loved about the party that they were at. If they booked off of a party, you want to ask them, what is it that you loved about the party that you were at? And then wait for them to say, because they're going to tell you, I loved that it was social. I loved that I learned a lot of tips. I loved that I got some I saw products I'd never seen before. And so these are going to be things that are going to help you to realize, to get to know your host. What is she looking for? What does she love? What do you want to repeat? Okay. So ask them what products they're most excited about and what's on the top of their wish list. I am horrible about getting this information. I always kind of throw them on the spot at their parties, and you really should get this information beforehand. And ask them, okay, so what are you most excited about? Because, so for example, I had a party in April, and the host, she didn't want anything big. She couldn't pinpoint anything big. When I asked her, she couldn't pinpoint anything big. She just wanted a bunch of little things, but they just added up to so much she needed to have a party. But then on the other hand, you're going to have hosts that they want the rock crock. They want the grill pan. Okay. Likewise, in April, my massage therapist had a party, and the whole reason that she wanted to have a party is because I told her about the rock crock, and she's like, I think I need to have a party to get. So that was why she had her party. And so, and it was kind of an unlikely thing. I mean, well, first of all, we talk the whole time during my massage therapy, so that's unusual. But, and she's like, there's not a lot of clients I do that with. I do that with, I like it. We talk about everything under the sun. It's so funny because I'm with her for an hour. But I was talking about the rock crock, and she was just like, that sounds like the coolest product. I said, it is, and you're really going to get a lot of use out of it. And so, so consequently, that's what she wanted to have. So then at her party, I did the party in April, knowing that May was coming up, and we had cookware on special in May. So we made sure we talked about the rock crock. I want Rebecca to be excited about a rock crock. I talked a lot about cookware. So then everybody at the party is excited. They want cookware. So they book their shows for May. They're excited about cookware. So it's not surprising to me when I talk to them and I say, what's the product that's biggest on your wish list? Oh, I got to have that grill pan. Oh, I got to have that whatever, So it kind of drives that. But it's good to know those things. So one of the things it says in here is ask them to send the guest list within 48 hours. Now, I used to do this. I used to have my host send me a guest list with names and addresses in 48 hours. Okay. So I'm going to give you, and then that's how I knew the party would hold. But I will tell you something I've switched to doing, which is kind of the same thing, is now what I'll do, whether it's a live party, an in-person party, or whether it is a virtual party, I go to Canva and make them a graphic. Okay. So I have a couple of different ones depending on what recipe we're doing. Is it a mealtime makeover? Is it a fajitas and margaritas? Is it a, best summer ever? I've got to make up my best summer ever ones because that's going to be my theme for this summer is best summer ever. Doesn't matter what recipe it is. It's just summer ever. So, but anyway, so I make them a little graphic that has the information for their party on it. So it has their name, their phone, all their contact information, all the information for the party, how to order online, and what they're going to expect at the party. Hey, you're going to get to try great recipes, have some, hang out with friends, and, whatever it says, something really like, and learn great tips to make your mealtime fun again or something like that. And so it's just a little JPEG, and I update it for them, and I save it on my phone, and I email it out to them. Or not email, I text it to them. And I text it to them and I send it on Facebook because sometimes I don't really know, are they more of a texter or are they more of a Facebooker, But I know that they can, if they're on Facebook, they, the hosts are different. Each person is different. So I don't really know yet, or maybe we haven't talked about it. So I send it to them both ways. And I say, hey Amanda, here's your graphic for your party. This is your invite or your save the date for your party. So what I want you to do is right now, or actually I'd send them 3 texts. The first one says, hey Amanda, I'm getting ready to send you your graphic for your party. When you get it, make sure you send it out to, you can text it, you can save the image, and then you can text it, you can Facebook message it, or you can email it out to your friends and family. Let them know about your party. You're going to ask them to save the date, and then I will set up your event. I'll send you the link in the event when you come back and tell me that you're done. Okay. Your next 2 texts are going to be the image and then the words. So then I send them the image and then I send them the words to say. So then the words say, they're like, hey, and then it's like blank, hey, underlines as underscores. I'm having a Pampered Chef party on Friday, June 1st, and I hope you'll make it. You can even bring a friend. Let me know if you can make it, yes or no. And that's what I send them. Okay. And so it has a graphic. So then they can just cut and paste everything and text it out. Then they text me back and they say, done. So once they've texted me back, so they're done, now I can invite them to the Facebook event, or now I can send them the link, or, however you're going to do it, now they can just add people on Facebook. I'm not going to let them, they need to invite more than just Facebook. So I tell them to do that first. Okay. So that's just like in the old days when we used to say, send me your guest list. Okay. I still tell them, if you want me to enter if you have email addresses and you want me to enter them in on, Consultants Corner, happy to do that. No, it's okay. If you want me to mail stuff out, happy to do that. No, that's all right. And then I also, in their host packet, I always give them labels to stick on invitations so they can hand those out at church or to their neighbors, maybe people they're not connected with, online. So, but instead of asking them to send the guest list, I have them send that save the date text out right away and then tell me when they're done with that. Okay. So you want to share the importance with them of having that personal invitation and how to make the calls personally to invite the guests. Also encouraging them to pick up the phone is another one. So they can call, they can text, they can Facebook message, they can email. But once they've contacted everybody, and then I will ask them, so how many people did you reach out to? How many people were you able to reach out to? And because right now I don't care how many reply back to them. I just want to know how many they reached out to. And your goal, of course, is always, 40 to 50. That's the goal. So, and then so you might do this at a party, you can, if you have a graphic that's really easy to update, you can do it right then, send it to them and say, all right, here it is. You can start sending a save the date to everybody, or you can do it the next day. But then just let them know that you'll be calling the next day to talk about planning the party. Okay. And I give them a host packet at the event. Okay. So if I'm at the event, I give them the host packet. If I'm not at the event, I book them after or whatever, I get them their host packet right away. So, and I usually mail them just because it's just too much of a hassle to drive them unless they're like in Holly by the Sea. Yeah. If they're outside of Nevada, if they're outside of Holly by the Sea, I just mostly mail those. And I use PayPal. I use PayPal shipping to mail everything. Okay. If you have a PayPal account, I can show you how to do that. It's actually cheaper, and you don't have to make a trip to the post office. So
yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Yes. I don't like making a trip to the post office. So, and with PayPal shipping, you can send things, like I've sent things to you and you see the label that I print out. It just is, I'm going to go to the post office and they're going to charge me $250. So I'll pay $250 from my house and not have to go to the post office. Great. And I can do it at 11 o'clock at night if I want to, or, some weird time when I don't have to worry about that. The post office over here is right next to a school. So of course, when I want to go, the school's usually letting out or something, or starting. There's always 5 million people. All right. So, so they gave us an example of what you might want to say. And so something you might say to your host, and I'm going to read this and then I'll tell you if I say something different. Okay. It says, Karen, I'm so excited about your party on June 1st. So tell me, what did you enjoy most about the party? Wait for the response. Great. What products are you most excited about getting? Awesome. You're going to love those. Our goal is to have 15 guests at the party. So most important thing that you can do is call your guests right away tomorrow morning or when you get home from work. And remember, only about a third of the people you will call will be able to come. So you'll want to reach out to 40 people. How does that sound? Okay, so I think the only thing I would tweak is I would say, especially if you're at the party, I would say, all right, I'm going to send you a graphic tonight. And so you can call, text, Facebook message, and email people tomorrow to send them the save the date. Okay, that's what I would do. I mean, a lot of people will call, but some people feel very overwhelmed by the fact that you've asked them to call 40 people. And so I want to give them the option, because the point is I want them to connect with people. So that's the point. So if she says she doesn't know 40 people, tell her you'll help her brainstorm invite 15 and encourage them to bring a friend, and that kind of thing. And so a brainstorming session, that might not happen right when you book the party. That might happen the next day when you talk to her and say, okay, just because you probably have people waiting, especially if you're at a live party. If you're doing a virtual party, you can talk to them on the phone, of course, or on the messenger. But in, a lot of people think that they have to just invite their close friends. All right. And they're like, oh, I don't have that many people that I know. And I'm like, oh, well, what about, I'm like, well, tell me about who you did invite. How do you know them? That's the first question that I would ask. And then they'll tell me, oh, I invited my friend from high school, and I invited my neighbor, and I invited my other friend from church. All right. Well, is there anybody else that maybe they're not somebody you regularly come in contact with? Is there anybody else that you might want to invite? And then you'll just sit and wait. What about your hairdresser? Are you going to see your hairdresser between now and then? Are you connected on Facebook? What about any of those people you invited? Is there anybody through them that you might want to add? So those kind of things. All right. So that gives you, definitely gives you some options to work with them, and, encourage them to come up with the people themselves. But a lot of times people think they just want to invite the people that they're close to. So, and sometimes people won't invite their neighbors. And this is what I say to them. I'm like, well, have you invited your neighbors? Oh, I don't know my neighbors. Oh, well, hurricane season is upon us, and you never know when you might need to borrow their generator. Or borrow the air that their generator is, doing. Or maybe you need somebody to watch for a package, So the best thing to do and the easiest thing to do is to go ahead and invite them to your party. And then the other thing is that when you have people come up and drive at your house, they can't get mad because they were invited. Okay, so always invite your neighbors. Okay, and they always laugh. And I tell them, I'm like, my mom always told me that I have to invite my neighbors to stuff unless it's like a special thing, because you don't want to offend them, unless you're having like a private thing, like a work function or something like that. But if you're having like a big open thing, you always want to invite your neighbors. So sticks with me even today. So, and I share that a lot, and people are like, oh, okay. So, and then with that graphic, they can also share that graphic on Facebook, and they can ask the question, hey, I'm having a Pampered Chef party. Who wants to come? And if you're friends with somebody that you don't want to come, make sure that you hide them. And I always say, you're friends on Facebook with somebody and you don't want them to come, make sure you hide them and say that everybody can see the post except for them before you post it, because they'll be the first person to say, oh, I can't wait, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And my hosts, they usually laugh about that, because we all have people on our timelines that we don't want them to see our stuff. All right. So anyway, the next thing it says is the first thing you want to tell your guests is exactly what you just told them. This is what you just told me. Let them know what you enjoyed about the party that you went to, and that you got to see the rock crock and the grill pan, items that she wants for free. Tell them what you love about those items. And so you could incorporate that in the text message, the text that you're printing out. You could incorporate that. And I'm so excited. I just went to a party and we made fajitas, and I saw the rock crock. Oh my gosh, we cooked chicken in the microwave. I mean, you can write up those words for her based on those conversations. And then she just copies and sends it off. So they're very, very grateful when you give them the words to say. And the cool thing is when you type up the words, they can read it or they can paste it and message it. Okay. Yeah. So just like us, just like we do. Okay. So another thing, then you can go on. I know a lot of people don't answer their phone these days, so it's a good idea to send a follow-up text message, email, or Facebook post that says, I just left you a voicemail, can't wait to hear what you think. Nothing replaces the excited sound of your voice, even if it's on a voicemail. And I think this is something good for us to follow up with anyways. I always follow up with a text or a Facebook message after I leave a voicemail, because frankly, people don't listen to their voicemail either. So unless they know what's in there. So, and that is pinpointed by the fact that there are so many people that I call and their voicemails are full. So, yeah. All right. So, then it says, if you'll just send me a list of everyone you're inviting so I can send out a mini catalog to them. I'd like to get this list back within 48 hours, which would be on this day. Would that work for you? And you pause your response. So I think that point is where this is very effective to ask them for their guest list so that you can send out a mini catalog or you can send out an invitation for them. But I think it's also effective to say, if you'll message me when you get done doing this, then I will create the event. And that's what I said, then I will create that event on Facebook for you. And I already have the event created. I get off the phone with them and create the event. I'm just waiting to hear back from them. Okay. And then another thing it says, would you prefer to mail me a list of names on this sheet of labels, or complete a sample fill in the blank electronic form? So you can bring standard blank labels for her to fill out or email her the electronic form first thing in the morning. The electronic form is let me screen share, I'll show you where it is. All right, so I'm on, that's the director bound right there. But if you go to my shows and then go to show planning materials, you'll see those host coaching letters I was talking about, which has a host information and checklist, the party planner, and then it has the labels should be under here. Of course. Oh, here they are, over here, printable. I was like, I know they're over here. They're over here under printable labels over on the left side. So, and they look like this. You just go in here. Oh, there's a whole bunch of different labels. Invite labels. So, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, that's not the right one. Guest address labels. And so you would just send this to her and then she would fill out this form. And then you could print it and mail it out, okay, if you want to send those out. So like I said, I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. So, but these labels, you can print those labels out and stick them on the mini catalogs, okay? So, all right, stop the screen share. All right, so that's an option for you, especially if you're listening to a host coaching audio and it's talking about that. Now you know where to find all of those things. This just goes on, and this is in that handout that's on the director bound page. These words are. So today is Wednesday. If you can get me that list by Friday, then I'll get those mini catalogs mailed out for you right away. I find that my host gets lots of orders from guests who can't attend when they receive a mini catalog as their invitation. I'll make a note here in the upper right-hand corner of your host packet with a reminder of what day to mail or email this back to me. How does that sound? Great. So the next thing you want to know is, Karen, what is the best way to communicate with you? I'll give you a call tomorrow to go over the details of your party. Is your cell phone number the best way to reach you? And the reason you want to know is because there's nothing worse than calling them on their cell phone and they never answer it. They never have it with them. They can't answer at work. Or because some people can talk on the phone at work, so it might be best to call them at work, so on their work phone. So they can't have their cell phone at work, but then so my husband, he's like, call me at work. And I was like, I'm not calling me at work. But he's like, I'm like, I can't reach you on your cell phone. He's like, call me in my office. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, so that's when you first book the party and you're talking to them. You're kind of laying the groundwork for the expectation that they're gonna invite people. People cancel their parties because they didn't do anything. 9 times out of 10, when someone cancels a live party, it's because they didn't invite, because they don't have anybody coming. And then I'll say 9 times out of 10 of the people that cancel because they don't have anybody coming, it's because they didn't invite anybody, okay? And I have gotten my cancellations down to 0 by sending out that save the date and having them do it right away, okay? If they don't send out the save the date, then I know they're not gonna do their party. I can double book that date right then, okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the guest list thing is a thing, A lot of old school consultants still do the guest list. I don't do the guest list anymore. So I started not doing it when I lived overseas, and it was I can't mail stuff for people. I'm not allowed to. So I found other ways around it, and this save the date is the best alternate solution. And if you're savvy with making a quick graphic, no problem whatsoever. All right, so after you've given them their packet that night, you're going to want to follow up with them the next day because you want to build off of that excitement. You should be calling everybody from the party the next day anyway as a big map call, the morning after call, sometimes not done in the morning, but the day after call, GAC doesn't sound as cool as MAC. But you want to touch base with everybody, especially your hosts. So in this, you would say, hey, Karen, this is Jennifer with the Pampered Chef, and I want to give you a quick call to say thank you so much for booking your party with me. I know we're going to have so much time. Just to confirm, you chose Friday, June 1st at 6:30 p.m. for your party. Is that correct? And then wait for their response. Because sometimes I'll write down 6:30 at a habit, and they wanted their party at 7 on a Friday. Okay? So always, and that, or they think their party's on Wednesday and I I can't do parties on Wednesdays, so you definitely want to confirm your date and time. So that happens rarely, but it does happen, okay? Remember, the most important thing for you to do right now is create your guest list, and I'd love to have that back in the next 48 hours so I can send a mini catalog to everyone on your list. That way, if they can't make it, they can place an order and you'll get credit for that. Will that work for you? So an alternate thing to say, the way I would do it, is remember the most important thing for you to do right now is invite your guests, and we want to have that done in the next 48 hours. I sent you a graphic last night, and so when they have that graphic and the link, they'll be able to RSVP right away. That way also, if they can't make it, they can place their order and you'll get credit for that. Does that work for you? Okay, so it's the same kind of words. I just took those words and just kind of reworked them for what I'm doing. And they just revamped the show landing page. So if you haven't seen it on your phone or on your computer, go to follow the link for one of your parties that's open and go see what the page looks like. It's so fantastic. And I think I'll be reworking my words a little bit, even on my Facebook events, because I want people to RSVP on the show page. Okay, so I want them to RSVP especially for a live party or an in-person party. I want them to RSVP on the show page, not necessarily on the Facebook page. So. I'm so sorry. So anyway, so that new show landing page is really great. It's very clean. It's very clear. It has a share button so they can share it with friends or family on Facebook. And you can share it with them. So that's really great. All right. So will that work for you? Super. I know that once you start calling to personally invite your guests and they hear how excited you are about your party, you're going to have great attendance. Our goal is to have at least 15 guests, which means you'll need to reach out to at least 40 people. Karen, I know I mentioned this yesterday, but I have to say that you've been on my mind. I think you'd be wonderful as a consultant with the Pampered Chef, and it would be terrific to have you as a part of my team. I'd love to get together with you for a cup of coffee and tell you a little bit about our business. I know that you'll love what you hear. What do you think? So when you're working with a host, you want to offer her the opportunity. Your host is actually your very best, your very strongest recruiting lead. And the goal is to actually talk to each host 5 times about the business. And so when you're talking to them, just inviting them, oh my gosh, you know what? I know that you love Pampered Chef. This would be a good fit for you. And you can let them know. One thing you can say is, before I set this party all up, I did want to let you know that the benefits of hosting your own party is that I can easily turn this into your launch party, meaning not only would you get the rewards, but actual cash from it. Are you in the market for some extra income? Okay. Another thing you can say is, as a host, one of the benefits, they say no, so that's okay. As a host, one of the benefits that you get is a kit credit. You can take some of your free product and apply it towards the cost of the kit. Is that something that you've ever thought about? Okay. But just mentioning it, and it's funny, I'll tell this story because when I did a show for my sister, and we were coming to visit my sister, and I did a party for her, or she did a party for me, actually. She did a party while we were there. And so that's changing the words like we're in that, like that in that audio. But she did a party. And so I came out there, we did the party. And as I was doing the host coaching, I told her, hey, just so you know, if you have people who want to book shows and stuff, I mean, you can be a consultant and you can do all those shows. And she's like, oh, I'm not interested. And I was like, all right, I just want to let you know because, it is your benefit that you can get the discount on the kit. She's like, okay, thanks. I think so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so would be great consultants. I was like, oh, awesome. Well, I'll make sure I talk to them, while I'm there. So I go and I do the party and we're getting ready to leave to go out of town. To go back home. She lived in Dallas and I lived in Georgia. Okay. I think it was Georgia. And so I am telling her, okay, here's all your host rewards. Here's where you're at. And you'll, collect those orders. And don't forget, just so I know you just said you weren't interested, but you can take, $50 of this free product and apply it towards the cost of the kit. And she's like, okay, thanks. I'm like, okay, bye. It's been so great seeing you. Love you. Bye, blah, blah. We have a 15-hour drive home. So we hop in the car and we leave. We are, I don't know, like 30 minutes down the road. Ring, ring. My phone rings. And I'm like, hello. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Angie. Hello. And she's like, hey. And I was like, did we forget something? You'll just have to mail it to me. We're already too far down the road. And she goes, no, I just had a question about the consultant thing. I'm like, what? So, but she had already told me no, like 3 times, but I still continued to offer it every time we did the host coaching. And she ended up selling and doing this business for a while. And it was funny when I asked her, why'd you want to get started? And she was a landscape architect at the time. And I guess she still is technically. But she goes, I make these $20,000 plans and I just I don't feel like I have the skills to sell them. And if I could learn to sell an ice cream scoop for $15, then certainly I could sell a $20,000 landscape plan. And I thought, okay. But the point was she wanted to learn selling skills. And it was a cheap way, an easy way to learn selling skills and gain confidence. And so she did. She had a great business and she had just had her daughter. So I guess it was like 16 years ago, but she had just had her daughter, or 15 years ago, she just had her daughter, and she was staying at home and she was doing freelance landscape work. So it wasn't the company that was selling landscape and billing it and everything. Her name was attached to it. So it was just a big change. But she likes that. She tells the story still. She's like, hey, if you want to learn how to, she does a embroidery business now. And she says, I'm inputting all the skills I learned, in my Pampered Chef business. So anyway, so the whole point of that, not to learn selling skills, but to ask, because you're out there planting seeds and you're generating interest. And your hosts already love Pampered Chefs, so don't feel shy about inviting them to join you. Okay, so that is it. And that is just that's just getting started with that's just getting started with host coaching. And really, you don't have a show if you don't have guests. And so focusing on the guest list and the invitations right away gives you the opportunity to have a great show. And then every time you're talking to your host, you're going through the host checklist, you're doing the 3 touches like it says. And then every time you're talking to the host, you're asking them, hey, so how many people have told you they're coming? Okay, how many people have told you they're coming? Not how many people do you think are coming, but how many people have told you they're coming? Because if you say how many you think are coming, they're going to tell you how many they want to come. 10. Magic number means there's like 2 coming. So, but if you say how many have told you they're coming, they're going to sit there and they're going to count and they're going to say 11 or 9 or 13 or 14 or whatever. And like Margie, when I did Margie's show, every time I talked to her, it was, a different number. And she might be like, I lost some people today. And I was like, that's all right. Don't worry about it. You'll gain some more tomorrow, And so, but she was keeping track of those invitations and who she had invited and who she was following up with. And so that is really, I don't know if you can see my window, but it looks kind of creepy. And I look at it in the reflection. So
Yeah.
Does it look creepy to you? It looks really like bluish and creepy.
It does. Sorry, people keep trying to call me, so I'm
Oh, that's okay. I love it when that happens. I'm doing a Facebook Live and I'm like, I can't read the comments because people are calling me. So, okay, we're almost done. All right. So, so anyway, setting up the host for success with encouraging the invites and encouraging them to go beyond their 10 best friends, the 10 people they know the best is going to really help your show to be a successful party. And I think I find that when I have, 8 to 10 people at a party, the next party that are booked off of that, they have 8 to 10. If I have 3 or 4 people at a party, the next parties that are booked off of that have 3 to 4. And so you kind of get in this cycle. So you're spending the same amount of time regardless of how many people are at the party. So you want to have a lot so that everybody gets the most bang for their buck. All right, so call to action. You want to practice what you'll say to the host when she books her party. And those words are on the director bound list. So I think you guys saw, share the screen again, just so you know where they are. Okay, so not here, not there, right here, under director bound, go up here to promotions, training, director bound program, and then this is call 3, this host coaching words right here, and the 24-hour call script. So the host coaching words have those words right there, and then your 24-hour call script is right here. This is going to help you. This is the day after call. This is what you're going to call on the next day, and it gives you the script for that. So if you're going to change anything, I would definitely recommend you write in it, you change it, you retype it or whatever, so you can practice the words that you are actually going to say. So you want to make sure that you make a 24-hour call with every host on your calendar and continue to make 24-hour calls from now on. This will really, really make a difference in your business. So even if you're doing virtual parties, if you book a party and you send them, maybe you send them a virtual host packet, maybe you send them the flyer, you send them the how to be a great show, whatever, you send them a couple of things or a video or however you're doing that, then I would still call them the next day and have the phone call chat. Okay. You're also going to continue to make your 15 contacts a week outside the party. You're going to do your power hour and focus on booking and recruiting. And even if you're doing follow-up calls because people got their products, make sure you're asking for the booking, okay, or asking about the business. I felt a little wary about it at first. Not wary. Take out the I felt a little wary at first about it because I was like, oh, I don't want to be salesy or whatever. But once I started doing it, I found that it felt really, really natural to say, hey, oh my gosh, we've got a great host special. Would you like to hear about it? We've got great host specials for the next couple months. Would you like to hear about them? And most of the time they'll be like, really? What are they? Oh my gosh. In June, hosts have the opportunity to earn twice as much for free. And they'll be like, really? And I'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, do you have anything else on your wish list? And so I've had some really good conversations the past couple of days with people who are interested in getting together. So that is exciting because I was worried about my June. And then the last thing is the training audio assignment for the week. So this week's call is Make It Impactful with Laura Anticall and Diana Feller. And that is about host coaching. And Laura Anticall is actually, I guess she's not a sister director to me, she's like an auntie. My director retired, and so she was a sister director to my original director, my director, Patsy. So, and I met Laura for the first time in March, and she is so awesome. So I love it when I get to see, I know the people who are on the call. So, because I can tell you, they're amazing. So I don't know who Diana Feller is, but I'm sure it's awesome because it was the one that was picked. So, but that is it. Our next call will be in 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks to do all of this, okay? And remember to keep track of your phone calls and listen. Just have the audio. I don't know if I haven't played with it in a while. It used to be we could right click and download it, so then it was just in my phone and I could listen to it whenever. I think you can still do that. It's really pretty easy from an iPhone. So, but anyway, that's it. Have a fantastic week. Do you have any questions about anything?
I don't think so. I think
okay, good. Did you get your little goodies in the mail the last couple of days?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Okay, good. I figure you're close to a Target. Target cards are good for you.
Yeah.
Who can't? I mean, I have Starbucks cards and I have Target cards, and so then I was like, well, Target cards kind of they can be Starbucks cards these days.
Yeah.
So, and I know there's a nice Target down there in Destin. So. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, congratulations on all your successes. You've had a great first 3 months. And so one of the things that you're definitely going to want to do since you've rounded out your first 3 months is you're going to want to make some new goals, okay? Make some new assessments. Say, okay, what do I want for the next 90 days? What's my goal for the end of the year? You know, those kind of things. It's really easy when you first get started and Pampered Chef says, here's your goals, you know? So now you can set some new ones and you can talk about, you can think about what's next for you. And then we'll set up a time when we can talk about that. All right? Okay, after this weekend, I have to get through this weekend. We have my daughter coming in town.
Okay.
And she's bringing her boyfriend. And because she's bringing her boyfriend, and they've been dating for 2 years, none of us have met him. All of her sisters are coming too.
Okay.
So it's going to be like Christmas vacation without the Christmas tree. So
good luck with all that.
So pray for us this weekend. And I'm so mad because it's going to rain.
Oh, yeah. It's supposed to rain everywhere. We're going home.
Are you?
South Florida, yeah. It's supposed to rain then there too.
Yeah, South Florida is supposed to get a lot of rain. So a lot of rain because the storm that's coming up, they said that it's just all going to be on the east side. And I was like, well, can it hit Tallahassee? Like, so then it's just over there? Like, you know, but either way, the Gulf's going to be all churned up. So it won't even be pretty.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's from New York. So I just wanted to show him this beautiful area. And he's going to be like, that place is gross. There's nothing to do. So, you know, it's hard to compete with New York City. Like, he's from the city.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. It's going to be, so I'm mad. I'm like, oh. So, all right. Well, you have a great weekend, and I will chat with you next week. We can set up a time to talk this week. All right?
Sounds good.
All right. All right, Tiara, I know you're watching, and same with you. We'll set up a time to talk next week, okay? You guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. Download your audio before you go anywhere so you can listen to it. Get your husband really smart on Pampered Chef, right?
Yeah.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.